Hi, my name is Justin, and this is for my cooking show assignments. Today I'm going to be making some scrambled eggs as well as some reduced salt bacon into a brioche bun all natural bagel, as well as I'm going to be making a smoothie that my trainer gave me the recipe for because I also am an athlete, so I got some of my supplements here, stuff like that. And I'm also going to be treating myself with some pancakes because it's Valentine's Day, so why not? My first step is going to be to wash my hands for at least a minute long with some warm water and some soap. And I also am wearing some shoes that have some good ankle support so that I don't fall and trip and hurt myself, as well as a hat in case that any of my hair falls off. And I just took a shower to make sure that I'm as clean as possible. So, turn it off. Make sure the water is nice and warm. A little bit of water in your hands. We're gonna open the soap up.
You don't have to open it.
I like to do as much as possible. Make sure you scrub. Don't go straight into the water. Make sure you really rub it in there. Roll your hands. And you really just wanna make sure your hands are really clean so that you're not spreading anything into the food, because that's the last thing you don't want to do. Make sure the water is hot too because it kills the bacteria. A little bit too hot. Alright, now that we're all cleaned up, we can start the cooking. So after washing our hands and making sure everything's clean, we're going to start off by cracking the eggs on a nice clean surface. You sure you don't get any of those shells in there? They could be very dangerous. There we go. Make sure you don't get any of those shells in there. Now that the eggs are cracked, we're going to start off with a pan. I'm going to put some canola oil so there's no sticking, and it's a better alternative than the butter. And then we're going to put it on a 3 or 4. So now I'm putting a tad of milk into these eggs, and I'm going to stir them for a couple seconds. After you're done stirring this, you're going to make sure to put this fork back in the sink and clean it for later and no longer use this. You want to make sure that while you're cooking, you're cleaning as well, because it's never a good thing to have a bunch of garbage laying around. Okay, now we are going to gently and carefully pour these eggs into the pan. And you want to make sure that the handles are never facing this way. So I'm going to turn this way because it could be very dangerous if you bump into it or something along those lines. After that first step, before touching our bacon, we're going to want to make sure we wash our hands again. I like when I cook my eggs to constantly stir them to make sure that there's not a buildup. So I'm going to just be pushing these around. Putting a very close eye on my eggs, and after washing my hands, I'm going to throw some of these pieces of bacon into the pan on a low heat. While keeping an eye on the eggs and bacon, I'm going to wash my hands really quickly after touching the raw bacon. I'm going to flip these eggs over right now, make sure that both sides are cooked. Make sure this stays to the side, and be careful of the heat. You would not want to get burnt or anything. These eggs are about done, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the stove. Make sure you don't forget it or stuff like that. I'm going to make sure there's no one around me, and I'm going to carefully bring this pan over and evenly divide the eggs into the plates. That's good. Now that the pan is done with, I'm going to let it sit on the turned off oven just to make sure, because it's still very hot. I want it to cool down, and this is going to go in the sink and get ready to be cleaned. Wash my hands again before touching the other bagels. Ready, I'm still keeping an eye on my bacon. It's on a low heat, so I'm not worried about it. I'm going to bring these bagels to the toaster. Still want to be careful because this pan is hot right here, but the bacon looks like it's ready to flip. So we're gonna, from a far distance away, carefully flip our bacon because you gotta be careful because of the grease flying around. You would not want to get hit by any of those bubbles. Keeping an eye on my bacon on the low heat, I'm going to put a little bit over a cup because I plan on eating more than what the paper says into a bowl. I'm going to wash this out because we're going to reuse it in a couple seconds for some cold water. After just washing my hands and the cup, our bagels look like they're ready. So I'm going to carefully take these out and bring them over to the plate. And I'm going to bring the other pair of bagels to the toaster. 2/3 of a cup of cold water after cleaning this into our pancake mix. Now that this other pan is no longer boiling hot, we can bring this over the sink to get ready to clean for it. Clean that later. And our bacon looks like it's ready. I'll put some paper towel onto a plate and I'm going to carefully, from a distance, take the bacon out. I'll put some paper towel over these bacon bits to take the grease away, and we're going to let that pan sit there until we could clean it because right now it's a little bit hot. Looks like our other bagel is now ready too, so we're going to bring this over. You want to make sure to whisk this pancake mix until a very smooth consistency. I'm going to clean this pan with some warm water and soap just so that I could use that to make the pancakes later too. Now that I clean this pan for the pancakes, put it here. I'm going to bring over this pan that we used to cook the bacon for and rinse it and get it ready to clean it for later. Now that I just cleaned my spatula that I used for the eggs, I'm going to use this for the pancakes. Now I'm going to put a couple blueberries in for my pancake mix. I'm going to turn the stove on to a 5 and to put our canola cooking spray. Now that the pan is heating up, I'm going to start prepping my smoothie with some bananas and strawberries with this knife that is used for cutting fruits. You want to make sure when you're cutting fruits, you're very careful with your fingertips, you curve them inwards, and you carefully just cut off the stem. Applies to the banana, make sure your fingers are far away, and just do some nice thin slices. Stove is nice and warm. We're going to start cooking these pancakes up the shape we want them. I like to just grab a handful, carefully put one right down the middle, see what it looks like. You can spread it out a bit if you want. I usually go for two big spoonfuls. Now that we have our pancake shaped out, we're just gonna let it sit there for a couple minutes. I'll wash my hands before touching the fruits for my smoothie. Here it tells me to put 5 to 6 ounces of almond milk. So I'm gonna fill that up exactly to 5 to 6 ounces. I'm gonna do 5.5 today. Too much liquid? No. Do a 4. Oh, we go a 5. Not enough liquid?
Yeah, it's fine.
So we're gonna flip this pancake now. Nice, beautiful golden brown. 2, 1. Now we're gonna put some of our fruits in here. 2, 1. Now that my pancake's done, I'm gonna turn off the stove, make sure there's no one behind me. Carefully put this pancake onto my plate. I'm gonna wipe down the table a bit, make sure everything's clean before I start to eat. Now that the oven's turned off, the stove's turned off and everything's safe, I'm gonna blend my smoothie. All done. Now that everything's done, I'm gonna top off my pancakes with some sugar-free maple syrup. And after I enjoy this meal, it's gonna be time for the dishes.